Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, my name is Clifton, and I want to thank you for coming to visit with me today on a very serious subject. I was watching President Obama on television a couple of weeks ago, and he made a general appeal to all of us to help fight this global warming war. Now, I don't think that I understand a lot about global warming other than what I've heard, but evidently there's a lot of oxide out there of some kind. It's carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide. It's some kind of oxide that's out there filling up the air, and it's heating up the planet. Now, I live in D-Lily, Arkansas, which is a little bit south of Missouri. And to me personally, it doesn't seem like it's much hotter than it ever was. I've been here a long time. It seems like it's hot as it's ever been, but that's okay. If President Obama says we got global warming, I'll just have to take him at his word. I'm sure he wouldn't lie about it. Now, I don't know how to exactly explain very quickly what my plan is to help defeat global warming, but I do want to preface my plan by explaining that I believe it's a green plan, and I'm hearing that it's real important to be green now, and green means we got to have natural ingredients and all that kind of stuff. So my plan does include natural ingredients and will be completely green. So let's get that settled right up here up front. I don't want anybody accusing me of not being green. So here's what I think. I've given a lot of thought to this global warming in my brain, and since it's caused by oxide, monoxide, dioxide, whatever it is, a lot of it's just stuff we breathe out. And when we breathe out, this oxide gets into the atmosphere, and somehow it just gets everything all whacked out, and there you go. The world starts heating up, you know, can't control itself. So we got to reduce this breathing. So I've been looking at the plight of the American buzzard, and I have concluded that there's a major problem out there on the highways of America that not only is causing a lot of problems for the American buzzard, but also contributing to global warming. And let me explain how this works very briefly. I'm sure you've all been traveling down the road before and seen a whole herd or whole flock of buzzards out there eating their lunch on the road off an animal that got whacked by a car as it was trying to cross the road. Not when the car was crossing the road, but when the animal was crossing the road. And that's what we call roadkill. It wouldn't be called roadkill if it didn't get killed on the road itself. And that begins to set up the basic problem for the American buzzard, because to get their lunch, they have to land on the road and gather around their lunch to eat it. Now, when a car comes by, buzzard's not dumb. Buzzard's not going to stay on the road and become roadkill itself. It's going to get the heck out of the way, and that's what they do. They lift off. You just see them all lifting off, flapping those big wings. Now, you know, a buzzard is not a small bird. It's probably weighs about as much as a skinny turkey, and it takes a lot of effort and energy for that buzzard to lift its body off the road and get out of the way of the oncoming traffic so it doesn't succumb to being roadkill itself. Now, on a busy road, can you imagine how many times the buzzard's lunch is interrupted by traffic? I think it's a lot, particularly at rush hour in the country when there's a lot of traffic going up and down the road. Maybe every 10 or 15 seconds these buzzards are lifting off, and when they do, their heart rate goes up. Now you're beginning to get the picture, aren't you, about how this buzzard situation is creating a problem and contributing to climate change and a global warming. When the heart rate of the buzzard goes up, they start breathing faster, and they're expelling more and more of this carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide, one of those oxides, and it's getting in the air. So what's the solution? Well, obviously, if we could limit the number of times they're having to take off during lunch, that would mean they would be breathing less of this carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which means we'd begin to get a handle on this global warming situation. So how do you get a buzzard to eat off the road? Well, you change his diet. It's very simple. I don't personally believe roadkill's all that good for buzzard. I mean, it's been out there for days sometimes, looks about half rotten, and it can't be that good for their digestive tracts. So let's get them on something that's healthy. Let's help them get to be green too. So first thing I want to do, I've designed a special buzzard feeder that we can install maybe 50, 75 feet away from the highway. That way, if we can get the buzzards going to the buzzard feeder that far away from the road, car goes by, they're not going to take off. They know they're not going to get hit because their food's right there in that buzzard feeder. Now, the buzzard feeder is made out of all natural ingredients. It's pure wood, and there's nothing artificial about it. It's a perfectly green unit. It's going about a 4x4 post, and you just dig a hole, sink it in the ground, pour a little concrete in there with it, let it set up, and probably 24 hours is ready to go. And down at the bottom, there's a pedestal that runs about 4 feet. It's a little pedestal about 4 feet wide. So that means, you know, you can get 5, 10 buzzards up on that thing at one time. And they step up on the pedestal, which is only about 6 inches off the ground, and they can put their buzzard beaks inside the buzzard feeder and get to that food. Now, where are we going to get the food? That's the next issue. I got a friend here in D-Lily who owns a feed mill, and I've been talking to him about this problem, and he's agreed to create a scientifically formulated, balanced buzzard meal diet that we can manufacture and put out in 50-pound bags. Probably cost about $6 or $7, and it'll be a combination of grain and some animal byproducts that have been sufficiently dried to make it attractive to buzzards. So next step is we got to get some money. Okay, now I don't know if we qualify for President Obama's stimulus programs or not. We're going to look into that, but I have started an organization called the American Buzzard Society, and we're going to be taking donations to fund the construction and installation of these buzzard feeders and country roads all across America. And we're also going to be taking donations to cover the cost of the food that goes into the buzzard feeders. So thanks for being with me today, and I hope you get excited about my solution to this global warming thing. And I don't know how many buzzards we're going to impact with this program, and I really don't know how much we're going to be able to reduce the oxide from heavy buzzard breathing. I didn't mean to say breeding, I meant to say breathing. How much heavy breathing from these buzzards we're going to be able to cut down. But I say this, every little bit helps. Let's just start to get a handle on it right away. So thanks for joining me here. This is Carl Clifton from D-Lily, Arkansas, talking to you about global warming. Let's see. Now how do I get this thing turned off? I can hit the switch right there.